Welcome to A Course in Miracles with Earl Purdy, and those of you who have come here today to check it out, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. It's always good to see people. You don't have to believe in any of the ideas that I give you from the Course in Miracles. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to welcome it. Some of it might be hard to believe. Some of it might be startling. So the Course says it's not about analyzing and judging the ideas so much as it is about if you use the ideas, that's how you find out that it's true. So the key with the Course in Miracles is the use of the ideas, not trying to figure it out first. So if you use it, like for instance, what I was saying just a minute ago about setting up, I had to use the idea, hey, I'm the one that's giving myself the feelings that I'm having right now. So I need to change my mind about how I'm seeing this whole situation because I'm giving it the meaning, right? Then the minute I took responsibility for the way that I was feeling and telling myself it was coming from the way I was looking at it, and it's just a big call for love and chill out, then I immediately had more peace. So as soon as I used the idea, then I saw that the idea was true. So that was just a quick lesson of how to apply it in a practical way. And one of the things that I tell people all the time, especially if they're new to studying the Course, is to me, after 45 years of teaching it and learning it, is lesson number 2. You know, the Course in Miracles. Let me straighten this up. It's a little crooked there. Hey, y'all. What's up? Okay. I think out of the 365 lessons that are in A Course in Miracles, the one that makes the Course in Miracles the easiest to understand is lesson 2. And lesson 2 is what? I give everything I see in this room, on this street, in this place, what? All the meaning that it has for me. So if you will just keep that premise in mind as we are going through the Course in Miracles, it will make your whole journey through the Course in Miracles a lot easier, because I find that that's the one idea that most people can relate to, no matter whether they've ever studied the Course, whether they've ever been introduced to New Thought, that very few people will argue that they're the ones that giving things the meaning it has. Like right now, what I'm saying, what I'm sharing, you're giving it all the meaning that it has for you, right? So if you decided it didn't mean anything, it wouldn't. If you decided it does mean something, it would, right? That's the truth about your relationship. You're giving your partner in your relationship all the meaning that your partner has for you. That's why you can feel the way you do about your partner, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's the way everybody else feels about your partner. Because everybody's giving everything in their lives the meaning that it has for them, okay? And then the Course breaks it down and said, well, you only got 2 meanings. You're either going to give it a meaning that gives you peace, or you're going to give it a meaning that gives you some form of conflict or some form of upset, no matter what it is. So then the next level, the Course teaches is, so let me give you some meanings that if you'll learn how to use these meanings, then it's going to help you keep your peace. So I'm going to give you some meanings of what the Course says, and if you'll learn how to use those meanings and apply those meanings, it's going to give you more peace of mind. And then you go, well, why do I want more peace of mind? He said, well, because when you have peace of mind, you can hear your own inner guidance better. You can hear your inner guidance better. The guidance that's coming from your higher self. The guidance that's coming from your spiritual self. The guidance that's coming from you. That's your divine self. It teaches you can't hear that voice if you're listening to your own voice and you're listening to the things that you're telling yourself that's giving you a lot of conflict. So when a person is angry and they're in conflict, that's when they're most likely to be absolutely wrong, because they're listening to their conflict and not listening from a place of peace. So first you go from conflict to peace to really being able to hear your guidance. Your guidance never fails. Your divine guidance is exactly what you need to hear in order for you to have peace in a situation or in a circumstance. So what's the steps? First of all, the step again is, I'm going through this right now with my mate or my boss or my coworker or somebody. I'm going through something again. I'm the one that's giving this all the meaning that it has for me right now. I need another way of looking at this so that I can give myself more peace. Once I have more peace, I can hear the guidance that I'm getting from my inner self that's trying to tell me the best way to handle this situation. When is it that I'm most likely to be totally wrong in my perception of what's going on? When I'm most upset, when I'm most angry. When is it that most people tend to think they're absolutely right? When they're most upset and when they're angry. That's when most people think, oh, I'm bad. I got to be seeing this correctly. This has got to be what's really going on. And so what the Course has taught me is a very powerful teaching when I'm angry or being tempted to be upset and making myself upset. You want to know what it is? Shut up. Be quiet. Take a breath. Because you're probably getting ready to make the situation worse. You're probably getting ready to say something that later on you're going to wish you had not said or done. So if at all possible, tell yourself, I don't like what I'm feeling right now. So what?
I must have decided incorrectly.
That's right. So I hope I'm wrong.
I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, right. And I want another way to look at this. And perhaps there is another way to look at this. And then he goes, well, what can I lose by asking for another way to look at it? The minute a person pauses long enough to catch their breath, that's usually all the time you need to let your sane mind express itself. So how can I tell when I'm in my insane, crazy mind? It's when I'm most angry and when I'm most upset, because there's not any situation that a person can't handle better if they're at peace. You can't tell me in a situation that will come up that anger is justified in terms of giving you the best centering on how to deal with the situation. Yeah, you can feel like anger is justified, but anger is never justified. And then my mind went, when I read that in the Course, my mind went, what do you mean anger is never justified? It says, well, it's not justified because there's another way you could look at it that wouldn't be causing you anger. That's why it's not justified. It's not justified because that's not the only way you could be dealing with this situation. So the Course in Miracles is always working with our perception. It's always working with the way you're interpreting things and the way you are seeing things. Because that's where it says all our mistakes come from. All of our mistakes come from our perception, right? My perception of you as my enemy is going to have a lot to do with how I treat you and how I deal with you. My perceptions are always determining whatever I do. It's based on how I'm looking at it. What is it that the average person would rather be more than to be happy? Right. Most people want to be right more than they want to be happy. That's why even when someone sees that they made a mistake, they'll be reluctant to say, I made a mistake and that was the wrong choice and I should have, because being right is so important to most people that they'll keep their misery if that means they can think they're right about it. Right? Yeah, right. So yeah, well, we all do it.
Yeah.
That's why it's no need to sit up here and pretend that we don't all do that from time to time. I know right now we're showing our public face. Okay, I know right now I'm looking at, the mask. I know right now I'm looking at your public persona that you have when you're around people who you don't really know that well and all that good stuff. So I know this is not the way none of you all are with your friends, okay? Okay, let's just get this straight right now. You're not fooling me at all. I know this is your public face. So that's why I'm sharing this, is because we tend to feel a lot more peace about being ourselves when we're around people who we realize are like us. And all of us do that. All of us, respond to things according to what we've learned in our experiences from the past. All of us have a divine self, a higher self, whatever name you want to call it, that we could call on if we learn how to get rid of the blocks that keep us from hearing that part of us. All of us do. All of us know the truth. All of us know what love is, and all of us know that we're only choosing between love or fear. All of us know that there's only two ways of looking at things, like we're all separate from each other, or we're all joined and connected with each other. We all know the truth. It just depends on our past learning and past experiences that determine how we're showing up today. So so what we're looking at in each other right now is the sum total of all the experiences and learnings that we've had since we were born. That's what we're doing. And then we take that us and we call it us, right? And I would venture to say you're not the same person that you were 10 years ago, right? You go, well, I'm not nothing like I was 10 years ago. Okay, you're going to say that about this self 10 years from now. You're going to say the one that's sitting up here today that you're sure is you. You're going to say that's not really you anymore because it's not you. So this lesson that I was working on a couple of weeks ago was lesson 93 in the workbook. I got some extra copies up here in case you want to follow along. And it's called Light and Joy and Peace Abide in Me. And let me get it up. Let's see. It's nothing worse than not being able to get it up, See here. I'm sincere, but I'm not serious. There's enough serious stuff going on in the world. So I really try not to make my class serious so that it's just another place that we are all being serious. You know what I'm saying? Let's be sincere. But I'm really, if you're looking for a class where the guy's teaching like he got 10,000 bricks in his pants or something, you in the wrong place. Because I want to have a good time with what I'm doing. Because most people don't come back anyway. So I just as well have a good time while they're here. Teaching the course class is like panning for gold. For every 100 students that come through, you might have 5 that'll stick around. Why? Because everything in the Course in Miracles is exactly the opposite of everything we've been taught. And because it's so different from the way we've been taught, it's difficult sometimes for people to hang in there with it. Because what a lot of times what we're looking for is validation of the way that we already see things. So if the person isn't going along, that's the thing about social media that's such a trip, is that it keeps us all in a bubble because the algorithms just bring up pictures and videos that correspond with everything that you already believe and everything that you like. So nowadays people don't get any other points of view other than their own, which locks us in a horrible way in terms of having an open mind and tolerance for people who are different from us. So people are living in echo chambers right now. They're not really listening to other points of view. So what we want to do is, so when you hear the Course, then you're going to hear probably something different from the way you've been taught to look at it. So one of the, let me start out with the lesson that we got. And the other thing that the Course taught me was that, whether people come to what you're doing or not, it has nothing to do with your personality. It has to do with whether or not the universe is sending them to you for that particular time at that particular day. And that's true in every situation. You don't ever meet anybody by accident. There's nothing in your life that happens by accident. Somebody get on the elevator with you, that's no accident, that they got into the elevator exactly when you, there are no accidents. Every single thing is already orchestrated to bring us to the awareness of one thing. And what is that? That you are luscious and juicy and beautiful and loved and loving and lovable and eternal and powerful and not a victim. You're a creator. You're more than your body. You're more than your body. You'll be glad of that one day, that you're more than your body. Right now your body might be looking hot, right? So you ain't got no problem with it. Everything is cool, but check with me in about 60 years, okay? So if every relationship you have is based on your body, then you're going to be freaking out. So you need to be forming relationships with people who the content of their character and who they really are on the inside is the most important thing. That's just a little tip, coming from somebody that's slightly older than 20. Okay? So the Course says, light and joy and peace abide in me. And sometimes when people in your life leave, it's because you learned as much as you can from each other at the time, and now it's time for you to separate. If a relationship ends, it's not because you're so lousy at relationships. What you can, sometimes that's the case, but that's not the normal reason. Is you have learned as much as you can with that person. You've learned as much as you can with that person. You learned as much as you can with that person. And it gets more painful the longer you stay in something that you learned as much as you can, and you're trying to force it to go past the point that you've learned as much as you can. When you've done everything you can do to make that work in a peaceful way, and it still isn't working, which is only because one or both of y'all don't want to be together anymore. So let's not even act like it's a complicated reason. There is no such thing as two people who want to be joined together in peace not being able to do that if both of them want it. I'll say that again. There's no such thing as two people staying in conflict all the time if they want peace with each other and they want to join with each other. It ain't gonna happen. It doesn't happen unless you learned as much as you can from each other right now, and you need to separate. That's it. So you are not lousy at relationships. You just had a lot of relationships that you all learned as much as you could from each other at the time. And then it says, all your relationships are destined to become healed. All of them are destined to become healed and holy, as the Course calls it. And in my mind went, what do you mean all my relationships are destined to become healed and holy? What, right. Earl, you're working on getting rid of the blocks in you that keep you from being a loving person. That's what you call the spiritual path. That's what you call personal growth. I'm trying to get rid of the blocks to me being the cool person that I know that I am. Every one of us at some time are going to come to that, is going to come to that same decision, that they're ready to have personal growth, and they want to learn to forgive, and they want to learn to be more loving. Everybody's going to come to that conclusion sooner or later, whether it's in this life or another one. So everybody's destined one day to be sane and to be loving. And the once that you become sane and loving, you're no longer holding a grievance against anybody. So therefore you have nothing, there's nothing between you and that other person that's negative energy. So that's what it means by every relationship is destined to become healed, because every one of us are destined to get to the point that we love ourselves the way that we should. And then once you do, doesn't mean I'm going to call you up and ask you to go out to lunch with me. It just means I no longer have a grievance against you. I don't have any ill will against you. I want your life to be fine. That doesn't mean we're going out to dinner. Okay? So my relationship being healed with you doesn't mean we necessarily ever hang out together again. But if I ran into you, it would not bring up fear. Yeah, I wouldn't be, dodging you in the aisle at the grocery store, right? I just saw you, so I'm trying to get away from you, and I don't want you to see me there, okay? So how do we get to that point? Well, the lesson that I'm doing today, I started last time we were together, and I'm going to go through it pretty quick because it's saying so much powerful stuff. And that's why I tell everybody that watches my classes that to watch it at least 4 times or listen to it at least 4 times, because it's through repetition that we learn. So this is called Light and Joy and Peace abides in me. Okay, light is truth. Light is love. So you could say love and joy and peace abide in me. Okay, so now then it says this, and I'm going to do it in a fun way. There's a part of you that thinks that you're the home of evil, darkness, and sin. There's a part of you that thinks if anybody knew the truth about you, they would be repelled. There's a part of you that think that if people really knew the truth about that part of me, they would recoil from me like a poisonous snake if they really knew the truth about me. There's a part of you that thinks if what is true about you were revealed to you, you would be struck with horror so intense that you would rush to death by your own hand, living on after seeing what you are really about being impossible. That's the way a person sees themselves, whether they acknowledge it or not, who does not love themselves. Because if I was seeing myself with love, I wouldn't feel that way. So it's no way I don't like me, and I'm full of insecurities, and I'm full of fear, and I'm full of distrust, and I'm a person that's loving myself or really in touch with love. So there is a part of me that sometimes has done some things that I think if you all knew about it, you would recoil from me and you might judge me. Does anybody else in here have anything that they think if someone might know about them, they would? Well, good. I saw that light around you, so I knew you wasn't going to say anything. That's right. It's just glowing. That's right. So then be honest with yourself and say, okay, this applies to a certain part of how I think about myself. Then it goes on to the next paragraph and says, these are beliefs so firmly fixed that it's difficult to help you see that they're based on nothing. What does that mean? It means that if you do feel that way about yourself, that thought that you're really evil or bad or sinful or guilty, that ain't true. You're not a sinful person. You're not a guilty person. You're not a bad person. That's not true. Now, why is it important for us to know it's not true? Because, here's a good one, because everything you perceive and everything you experience and everything you attract to you and everything that happens in your life is coming from your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, and your beliefs about yourself. The physical world only reflects back to you what you believe about yourself. What you manifest and what you create is coming from your thoughts and feelings about yourself. So if I have a core belief that I'm a bad person and if people knew the truth about me, they would recoil from me, then I'm going to manifest, draw, and create people who are going to validate that to me. And I'll be surrounded by people who are judging me, criticizing me, condemning me, and not trusting me and not being loving to me. And I'll think those people just showed up because I don't realize they're a reflection of the core belief that I have about myself. Everybody with me? Yep. Okay, that's why I do the discussion after the class, because I want to always give people an opportunity to ask me questions, because the Course in Miracles is so simple it's hard to understand. The Course in Miracles is so simple it's hard to understand. And it's as complicated as you need it to be for you to understand it. If you need it to be complicated, you look at this book and go, oh my God, look at what this looks like English and I just got to reading it and I don't know what the hell I just read. You ever had that experience with the Course where you reading it and you go, I know this is English, but I do not know what I just read. One day you realize you knew exactly what it was saying, but you weren't ready to accept it yet. And so you'll say, I don't understand that. The Course in Miracles taught me that. It says to understand is to accept. So when you're not ready to accept something, you'll say, I don't understand that. Like you understand what I just said. You got some negative thoughts about yourself. Those negative thoughts about yourself are going to manifest experiences in your life that are negative. So what you need to hear is all those thoughts about yourself are based on nothing. It's not the truth about you. I used to go to church as a child to be told how evil and sinful and guilty I was. That was actually what they told me about myself. That I was born in sin and guilt and evil and separation. And on top of that, I was responsible for the death of God's child. Now, if that's not a guilt trip to lay on the kid, I don't know what is. So then you get this core belief that you're a guilty, bad person. But just because you're a kid doesn't mean that the laws of the universe are suspended. You still are going to manifest what you believe about yourself, whether you believe this is true or not, right? So then if I get a core belief about myself that I'm sinful, bad, guilty, and separate from my Creator, and my Creator is going to punish me, then I'm going to create punishment for myself, and it'll come through the form of situations and circumstances that I attract to myself as a child and as I'm growing up that seem painful. that's coming from the core beliefs that I have about myself. And I'm going to say some stuff that's going to sound crazy, but that's the only way I'm going to be able to tell you the truth. Okay? Which is, you are an eternal being having a human physical experience, and you have lived forever. This is a school. Your soul is here to learn how to love, and that's what happens. We come to school, we learn as much as we can, we appear to die, which is going back home. Some people know that's true. Some people are going to say I'm crazy. Guess what? I don't care. Okay? Because you'll never be free as long as you care what other people think. But you have to also be conscious enough to know when to speak and when to be quiet. So I don't say stuff like this to people who I know it's only going to increase separation and fear, and they're going to think I'm crazy. See, that's how you know when you're crazy. Because when you're crazy, you say stuff that's going to make people think you're crazy, and you don't have sense enough to shut up and not say stuff that frightens people. And now, everything I'm saying is not because of my infinite wisdom. It's because I have studied this for a long time, and I'm sharing with you my perception of what it's saying, because it has an answer to anything you could ask me. It's nothing you could ask me that I couldn't answer it from A Course in Miracles. But that doesn't mean you're going to accept it or understand it, right? Yeah, you can ask me anything, and I could tell you exactly what the Course in Miracles says about how to deal with that. But that doesn't mean you're going to do it. Right. It doesn't mean you're going to use it, you know. But the good news is, what is the good news? The good news is there's a limit to pain. That's the good news that the Course taught me. Everybody's got a limit to pain. And some people have more pain tolerance than others. So then it becomes, how can you tell when you reached your limit? Would you like to know?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
The way you can tell when you reached your limit is you will say this: there must be a better way. That's how you know when you reached your limit. You go, okay, I've had as much as It's like if you're in a relationship and you know that you've learned as much as you can in that relationship, or you've gone through enough suffering or whatever, you are not going to be haggling over who gets the refrigerator and who gets the television. When you're ready to be free or something, and you're really ready to be free or something, you will walk away from anything that would limit you, because you can always get stuff again. Look in the back of my car. All right, I don't know how I just magnetize stuff. It's the weirdest thing. My point is, if you're ready to make a change, if you really reach the limit of that job, you're going to leave that job. You're not going to keep making excuses as to why you're sticking around if you really reach your limit, right? So ask yourself right now, have I reached the limit in judging and condemning myself and not realizing that I deserve to be happy? So right now, the Course says, this is the cool part. It goes, these are beliefs so firmly fixed that it's difficult to help you see that these beliefs are based on nothing. Because you're going to tell me, the person is going to tell me all the reasons why they really are guilty and bad. And that's what it's saying. It's hard to get people to believe those negative beliefs about themselves is based on nothing. So this is what you do. You go, that you've made mistakes is obvious. That you've sought happiness and strange, I'm going to give you, a lot of times I'm going to substitute the Course in Miracles definitions for words. That you have sought happiness in strange ways, that you've been deceived. Have you ever been deceived? Say yes. Okay, thank you. Have you ever been deceiving? Yes. Sometimes you're afraid of foolish fantasies. You just imagine stuff to be afraid of. Has that ever happened? Right? He says, and savage dreams. I love that. What is a savage dream? The world is a savage dream. And sometimes you bow down to idols made of dust. Now, guess what that is? The body. The body. The Course calls the body an idol. I worship the body, and I worship everything about the body. It's something that the body has or says or does. You know, we in this plane, do we not seem to worship the body and something about the body, right? And then it says, I love it, the Course calls it an idol made of what? Dust. Guarantee. Your body The once you lay it down is going to turn into dust. But we worship it now. But I'll never see anybody like trying to jump inside a casket and hug nobody. So the once the life force energy is out the body, it has no attraction to people. You know, except certain little weirdos. But most people
They're innocent.
and they're innocent too. They're innocent too. But the Course is already saying to us, all this is what? True by what? What you now believe. Okay? So, what are we going to do today? Now, the reason why I like to work out of the book, because I want to help people get over that misperception that the Course in Miracles is difficult to read and understand. Because you'll notice when you do it together, all of a sudden, nothing that I'm saying is something you don't get. Why? Because we're joined. We're joined on the truth. But if you're by yourself, it's when you get most disoriented and confused, because it's your ego, which is the part of you that learned the way the world, it's trying to interpret it, and it won't make any sense to the ego. So today we question this, not from the point of view of what you think. What? We're going to question this, but not from your point of view. Thank you. I'll say it again. Yeah. The Spirit is saying, we're going to question this, but not from your point of view. We're going to question this, that you're evil, dog, got a problem, you're not a cool person, from a very different reference point from which such idle thoughts are meaningless. In other words, I'm going to question how you think about yourself from a different reference point than the one you're using. The one you're using is making you think you're guilty and bad. We question that, but from a different reference point, which is, I think you're not. I think you're cool. I think you're loving. I think you deserve joy. I think you deserve peace. I want you to be happy. So I'm questioning the way you think about yourself, but not from your point of view. Got it? Now, if I lose you, I don't have a problem with you saying you lost me, and I'll say it another way so for you to hear it. Okay? Now, here's the beauty of the Course. Miracles happen just from your being able to let yourself hear it. You'll have healings in areas of your life that you never dreamed of just because you're letting yourself hear the truth. And because you're not going to be the one that actually heals the areas of your life that's causing you problems. It's going to be your higher self, your divine self, God, if you will. The Course says what it's trying to do is get us out of the way so the Spirit can work its miracles for us. We're the one that's blocking our good. And he says, so I'm trying to teach you how to get out the way so that the universe, Spirit, can give you the peace that you want to have. So I'm not teaching this so you can heal you. I'm teaching this so you can get out of the way and let you heal you. Notice what I mean by that? I'm not talking about your ego, who is the part of you that thinks you can deceive, that you've been deceived. You know, the part of you that worships the body. The Course in Miracles is not putting the body down. The Course in Miracles is not judging and condemning the body. So do not tell yourself that when I tell you that we worship the body, that the Course is condemning the body. What the Course is actually doing is just telling the truth about what we do. That's all. That's what's so funny about it. It's not really judging. It's like, this is a microphone. Now, you're the one that determines whether it's a good microphone or a bad microphone or a pretty microphone or ugly microphone. But the truth is, it's just a microphone. And it's used to amplify a voice. So the Course says that about the body. It says it's a communication device. Notice that that's how I'm talking to you, through this body. The Course says it's there for two reasons: to communicate through and to procreate. The body produces other bodies. That's what it's here for. We gave it all the rest of the uses that we're using it for. And so then judge ourselves for those uses, right? Then we turn around and judge ourselves for what we do with the body. And the Course is just saying, no, the truth is, it's a way to produce other bodies, and it's a way for you all to join and communicate with each other. You come up with fantasies of other things you like to do with it. You're not bad. It's not a sin, but it's not what it was really created for. But you might want to use it to go dancing. or you might want to use it to go hiking, or you might want to use it to have sex, or you might want to use it to travel. That's not a sin. But without a body, you wouldn't be able to communicate to none of these people that you were going to be around when you go travel. Without a body, you wouldn't have been able to get in the car or however you came over here today to come to the class. So the body is a way for us to join and for us to connect with each other. And we judge ourselves by what we do with it, which is why some people feel like they're bad, or they're insecure, or they're fearful, or they have shame. It's always around something you've said or done with your body. That's what the Course in Miracles teaches. All your guilt, all your sadness always comes back to something you think your body said or did, or something you think you've done with your body. Everybody with me?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions about what I've said so far? I'd love to stay on topic, so I don't mind questions, but let's try to keep them what we talk about. Yeah.
In procreating, is the point to create more bodies so that we can experience love? Like,
Yeah.
procreate them. Those bodies will experience love.
Yeah. Well, what we are doing is creating vehicles for souls to come in order to have their spiritual lessons. It's like that's all we're doing. It's like you produce a body, a soul comes through the body to learn its spiritual lesson. Does that make sense? Yeah. That's simple. And that's why the Course is saying it's the simple stuff that's hard for us to get, because we want it to be more complicated than that.
And some of us aren't meant to create those bodies.
Right.
It's just simple, right?
And some of us are, some of us aren't.
Okay.
Right? And so you shouldn't condemn yourself if you choose not to, quote unquote, have children.
Because that would be ego.
That would be any kind of judgment of yourself is in a negative way is ego. Okay? So then it says in the next paragraph, today we question this not from the point of view of what you think, but from what? Very different reference point from which such idle thoughts are meaningless. You thinking that you are not an innocent person, these thoughts are not according to God's will. The Course calls ideas of you, the negative thoughts that you would have about yourself, a weird belief. And it's a weird belief that God, which you could say love, does not share with you. Okay, you may think you're not enough and you may think you're a bad person, but I love you, so I'm not holding that weird belief about you, because love wouldn't hold a belief about you that you're evil and you're bad and you're full of sin. So the Course is teaching us how to tell the difference between love and what's not love. That's the overall goal of the Course in Miracles. I want you to be able to tell when a person's giving you love and when you're experiencing love and when you're not. He said that's the whole purpose of the Course. He says because when you learn the difference between love and fear, you will choose for love. You just don't know the difference right now. Some people have been abused and misused by people who they think love them. Right? And the Course says very simply, nobody that's expressing love for you is attacking you and hurting you. Forget it. Do not say it any other way. If you're attacking me, judging me, trying to hurt me, denigrating me, you are not expressing love to me. I'm jealous because I love you. No such thing. Love doesn't have jealousy in it. Why? Because love isn't afraid of losing. If I really love you and you love me, I'm not afraid that somebody's going to take you away from me.
Right.
So why would I be jealous when I'm loving you? Now, if I'm not loving you, then I probably am jealous, because what I'm feeling for you is we really don't have something that's real, and we really don't have something that's invulnerable, and we really don't have something that's really strong, or I wouldn't be afraid. So my jealousy is just revealing that there's a part of me that doesn't recognize that light and joy and peace is inside of me. Okay? That's the truth. That's the truth. Okay? So the Course says these weird beliefs your Creator doesn't share with you. So since your Creator doesn't believe that about you, that's enough to prove the negative thoughts that you're having about yourself are wrong. But what's the last part of this sentence? But you do not, what? Perceive that this is so. See, I was taught my Creator was going to punish me because I was born in sin and I was a bad person. Now, even if you didn't grow up in a fundamental religion, you still grew up in a culture that teaches us that we're guilty, that guilt is real. So even if you go, well, we didn't go to church, well, you're still in a culture that's based on this, that teaches us that guilt is real and you being a bad person is real. The Course says, no, you're not a bad person, you just make mistakes. And then the mind will go to the most extreme situations in order to justify not seeing it another way. So what usually happens is a person will say, well, what about Hitler? See, that's an extreme. You went immediately to the hardest person to forgive. Why did you do that? Because you don't want to forgive. So you have to come up with a justification. So the person will go immediately to the person who seems like they did the most harm to them as a child. Why? Because they want to justify hanging on to their grievance and not forgiving. But they don't realize if you do that, then you are going to attract things that justify you not forgiving. So you attract more stuff to you that seems like mistreatment and seems like abuse because you have an unforgiveness, which means that there's some part of you that's not willing to let go of these thoughts that cause you pain yet. That's all that means. But this is the cool part. All I have to do is change my perception, and then my whole reality will automatically change to validate that new perception.
Yeah.
That's easier than trying to change everybody you know to get them to be the way you want them to be. That's the way the world does it, right? So the Course then says, I love this statement. It says, why wouldn't you be overjoyed to be assured that all the evil that you think you did was never done? In other words, why aren't you happy to hear this? then it goes, why aren't you happy to hear that you are as pure and holy as you were created, and that light and joy and peace abide in you? Why are we not going, wow, I'm so glad to know I'm a really good love person no matter what, and I just made mistakes, and mistakes are for correction, and my Creator sees me as a really cool dude. Why aren't we joyful? If I said, why? And I'm asking you all that. Why do we not become joyful to hear good things about ourselves? Have you ever thought about that? He says, your image of yourself is not going to withstand the laws of God. It doesn't matter what you think about yourself that's not loving. It's not going to withstand the laws of love. Love is stronger than your negative thoughts about yourself. He says, but you think this is death, but it's really life. You think you are destroyed, but you're really being saved. Why is it that I don't want to believe that I'm a good person and a loving person underneath all the negative things that I might say about myself? It's because that would also be true about the other people around me that I am judging and that I don't like. See, people will stay in hell if they think the other person, because they don't want the other person to get off the hook. What they think of is off the hook. Because if you're innocent and you just need to be taught because you make mistakes, then that's true of all the other people that you don't like. So if a person doesn't like a person, then they think that forgiveness is letting them off the hook. So they don't realize that it's keeping you on the hook because it's keeping your vibration very low and very fearful, and you're going to draw and create things in your life that validate that fear. So the key to me releasing myself is releasing you. But I don't have to spend all my time working on you specifically. All I have to do is work on letting my own fearful, negative, untrue thoughts about myself be released. And if I let the negative thoughts about myself be released, it's automatically letting those thoughts about you be released, because what's true about me is true about you. So sometimes I think what keeps forgiveness from happening is people work on trying to forgive others all the time who they have a ton of grievances about, right? That's what we kind of talk. Well, forgiveness is me trying to focus in on my mama that abused me, and then I'm going to try to learn how to see my mama different. And the Course is saying, no, the key is for you to recognize that light and joy and peace abide in you, and that you're loved, loving, and innocent. And the more you get in touch with the truth about you, you're going to also be getting in touch with the truth about everyone else. Because happy people don't raise hell. It's miserable people who judge and condemn and raise hell. If you know it's the truth, when you're in a phase and you're having a good time and your life is really working, you're not spending your time thinking about everybody that's making you miserable, that you have grievances toward. Miserable people think about the things and the people that they think they're upset about all the time. If you're really happy, you're too busy letting yourself experience the joy of your life to be worried about what happened to you when you were 10 years old. But if you're a miserable person, you focus on your past all the time. But that's still just a mistake, and still light and joy and peace abide in you. So what do I want to be in a relationship with somebody for? Why would I want to be in a special relationship? To help each other remember this, that light and joy and peace abide. You want somebody that's your partner in remembering. That's the real reason we have a relationship. Not for security, not so somebody be there for you in your old age, or somebody that's going to take you on a trip. You need to be in a relationship that's going to remind you of the truth about yourself, your value. And you can go on the trip. And you can go around the world. And you can do all that, go to the movies. You can do all that stuff with somebody who, when you forget that you are lovable and you forget that you are valuable, they'll remind you of your value. Not somebody that you feeling bad about something and they'll say to you, well, let me tell you what else you did. You ever had that happen? You're feeling bad and you say something to a person and instead of them going, well, you know, you really are an innocent person, that's just a mistake. They do just served you right. You know you did that last week and you do that all the time. That is not a person that loves you. I don't care what they look like. Because people will overlook the content of people if their body is acceptable. Now, I just bring them to the course class. Help change her mind. You know, that body is smoking. You know what I'm saying? It's like we don't realize that when you tap into love, everybody is beautiful. There are no ugly people to a person with love coming through them. You know that? And you've all had that experience, I bet you, where you felt a lot of love for a person so much that you were not really even paying attention to what they look like because of how you feel about them. The less love, the more it is about the appearance. Because that's how you judge in their acceptability or not. So, one more thing. This is good news, so try hard to stay awake. I'm going to say something that's cool, right? People go unconscious the most in my classes when I say loving stuff to them. Because sometimes, depending on how you feel about yourself, I'm telling you the thing you believe the least. And so if somebody's telling you something you don't believe, why should you pay attention to them? Somebody's lying to you, why should you? The course has already told Earl, some people are going to see you as the devil in the cloak of an angel. That you're saying these loving stuff because you have some kind of an ulterior motive and something that you're trying to get. And so that's why you're talking all that good stuff. The book tells you that. It says that's what's going to happen. Because when you tell somebody something the opposite of what they believe about themselves to them, you lying to them. But if you think you don't deserve love and you don't value yourself or you think you're guilty or you think you're sinful and then you go somewhere and that person stands in front of you and say, you are guilty, you are sinful, then they're telling you the truth to you so that people believe them. And that's one of the reasons why teachings that are based on guilt and sin have the biggest congregations. Because people believe that they are the home of evil, darkness, and sin that needs to be cleared away. But you come to my class and I say something from the course, which is light and joy and peace abide in you, and your creator really loves you and only sees you as loving. If I don't see myself that way, then I'm going to think I'm hearing something that's not true. And I'm going to get away from the people who give me the most support and give me the most love and give me the most acknowledgement. I might come around them every now and then. It's what I found out about myself in the past. That I would put most of my attention on the people who least agreed with me and the truth about me. And then the people that was really cool that I'm around that not acknowledge me and love me, I would find, I don't really give them as much attention, right? So I'm going to tell you this paragraph, and if you got the book, I challenge you to see if you will let yourself hear it. The self you've made up, and I'm gonna make it easy. The self that you've made up, which is the one that you judge and condemn and don't like, he says that's really not the child of God. Therefore, this self that you think you are, that's not loving, right? He says, and doesn't really exist. It's an idea in your mind. Because when I first heard it doesn't exist, I said, what do you mean? He said, well, the way you think about yourself is just an idea in your mind. It doesn't really exist because nobody sees it or knows it until you tell them about it, right? I don't know anything about you, what you've done that's negative until you tell me about it. If it existed, I would see it. I wouldn't have any choice. So just think about that next time you're telling somebody all about the negative things or fearful things that you think you've done in the past that you judge in you're giving them an image of yourself that they otherwise would not even have about you. So the Course says, anything that this image, which the Course calls the ego, seems to do and think means what? Nothing. So your ego, your perceptions of yourself, is neither bad nor good. What is it then? Your perceptions of yourself that are fearful or negative or judgmental are what? Unreal. And nothing more than that. Everything when you judge or condemn yourself, a person that loves you, they don't judge it as bad or good. They just, you're just saying a lot of stuff about yourself that's not true right now. And you know what I do with people when they do that? I try to create a safe container for them to go ahead and express that feeling. Because that's how you let it go. Is you let it come up and you don't judge it, and it's like a cloud. It'll float away. But if you make a big deal out of it, that's going to make you focus all your attention on it. You see what I mean? It's like what the Course calls it a parade, right? I'm watching this parade of all my thoughts, and I have some thoughts about myself that are less than loving. So I grab that thought that's not loving, and then I judge that thought that's not loving. And what am I doing? I'm giving it a lot of energy, right? But what if I just let that thought march on by? Then it would be gone. So as the person who loves you, you tell me what you feel about yourself. I see it as unreal, right? And then it says, this thought is unreal, nothing more than that. It doesn't battle with you. It doesn't really hurt you. It doesn't really attack your peace. It's not really who you really are, has not changed. This thought of your ego, this negative thought, this fearful thought has not changed creation. It hasn't reduced eternal sinlessness to sin. It hasn't reduced love to hate. So what is that telling me? Okay, so I do have some negative thoughts about myself. I do have some upset with people. I do have some judgments. I do have all of these things, but they're not changing anything about what's real. So so the day I woke up in a bad mood and I was judging myself and I was judging other people, big deal. That's what it means. It hasn't changed who you are, hasn't changed who I am, and you can think as negative about me as you want to. I swear it's not going to change me. It's not going to change me. So if you're feeling bad about stuff you say about other people, cut it out. It's not having no effect on them. So why are you crucifying yourself about something that doesn't really have any power? So unless you actually go out and physically attack and hurt that person, you have not hurt that person. You haven't done anything. Just because you don't like me does not have any effect on me. Now, if you try to run me over with a car, then that's a physical attack. That is wrong. That is an attack. But just you thinking about somebody is not hurting them. So you might want to get rid of those thoughts because how it's making you feel, right? Because it's just an attack on yourself. If you're walking around all day thinking scary thoughts and angry thoughts, the Course says that's just an attack on you. But that other person, they're not feeling that at all. So stop feeling guilty about what you thought about your daddy or your mama or your boss or your coworker or what you see on TV or who you see on TV and what you think they're doing. You're not doing anything to any of those people if you're not doing anything to hurt them at a physical level. That's just thoughts that you have in your mind that's affecting you. I'm keep asking, does that make sense to you all,
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? See, that would let me off the hook, though. If I really accepted that as true, I wouldn't have any guilt. And if I don't have any guilt, I don't have any separation. And love will come into my life. Okay. So then it goes, what power can this self you made possess when it would contradict the will of God? So you're making up all these ideas about yourself that aren't really true if you think something about yourself that's not loving. But what kind of power does that have if your creator wills that you be happy and that you be loved and that you're valuable and that you're important? I don't care what my kid thinks about himself. I don't care what my daughter thinks about herself. It doesn't have to change anything that I feel about them. You hear me?
Yes.
That's what it's telling us. You know, you are loved. I am loved. We are treasured. We are valued. We are important. Might not think so, but that doesn't make it true just because you don't think so. And so what you want is to be around people who remember that for you, even when you forget. Your sinlessness is guaranteed by God. Your innocence is guaranteed by love. It's guaranteed by love. Somebody that loves you is not someone that's condemning you. Let's stop here. Okay. This lesson is such a good lesson that I'm determined to do it. Right? So I'm going to continue because the Course in Miracles teaches all you need is one of these ideas that you use consistently to lead you into the healing and the truth that you're looking for in your life. Just one of them. Just one of them. So I'm reaching out to everybody that's watching online as well as the people in the room. We have each other to support each other in this new perception of each other. So let's use each other for that. You know? That's why I do this, is I'm making a call out to people who are tired of all the fear, the anger, the separation, and the craziness that we're perceiving in the world, and they want to do more than just complain about it. They want to join with people of a like mind that's trying to get rid of the blocks to let the love come through with each other. That's why I'm doing this. It's so that the people in this world, in this watching, want to be around other people who want to be loving, who want to be, because you're not gonna have loving people in your life by accident. It's gonna happen because that's your intention. It's because that's what you value enough to put some time and energy in. So if you really want to know what you really value, it's the thing that you give your attention to the most. It's just that simple. You can fake like you're all about your spiritual awakening and God and the truth and all of that. But if you don't give that any attention, then it's really not the thing that's the most important, and you're innocent. And you're not being condemned for that. It's just a fact. Whatever you put your attention on the most is what you value the most. No matter what you tell yourself. How did you spend the last week? What did you put your attention on this last week? That's what you value. That's what you value. And nothing's condemning you for that. Like whatever you find out that is, I'm not judging you for that. The truth isn't judging you for that. It's just now I know why I haven't manifested this other stuff I say I want. You know, I say I want peace. I say I want joy. I say I want abundance. I say I want prosperity. I say I want friends. I say I want people in my life that are peaceful, that's trying to grow and trying to open themselves up. How much attention do I put into that kind of thinking, those kind of people? And the cool part about it is the more you do it, the more it comes. Because that idea gets bigger, and that idea gets stronger, and then it radiates, and then it magnetizes, and then it creates, and then it manifests. But you have to give it some energy. You have to give it some energy. So I am so grateful to you. I'm grateful to you for coming. I'm going to give you an opportunity to share if you'd like to. So I'm going to pass this around. It also helps us stay here where we are. I'm also a full-time teacher, and I appreciate that. If you are online and you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, then you can use Venmo or the Cash App or PayPal or Zelle, and all you need is my email address, and that's Earl Purdy at earlpurdy.com. I'm also available for one-on-one consultations and clarity sessions, and for those who are open and receptive to it, I'm also an astrologer and a numerologist, and you can also get your own chart interpreted to also make you aware of what your talents are, what your gifts are, what your lessons are. If the soul came in here to learn a lesson, you also came in with a roadmap and a blueprint to help you do that. I'll say it again. If this is a place that we've come to evolve and to learn who we really are, we came in with a way of knowing the thing that we could do the best, that would be the easiest for us to do, and that would be the most helpful for us to do. Everybody has unique gifts and talents. They're miserable because they're not doing what's their gifts, and they're trying to do what society is telling them that they need to do. That's all it means when you see unhappy people. They're not being true to themselves. They're not doing what their true gift is. And what's happening is AI is going to create, at some point, all the things that people don't like to do is going to be done by AI and robots within the next 5 years. So it's going to actually end up with people having more free time than they've ever had before, and people having to answer the question, who am I, and what am I really here for, and really having to fulfill their real purpose, rather than accepting jobs and other things that they're doing just to make it, that gives them no fulfillment and no joy and no happiness. So on the one hand, that's scary if a person thinks they're going to lose their job, but on the other hand, it's going to be forcing everybody to be about what they really came here to do, because the promise is, if you do what you came here to do, you're going to be given what you need to stay anyway. The universe will make a way for you, especially if you're doing what you came here to do. Most people don't know what that is because they came here and let the world tell them what it is that they're supposed to be doing. So the world as we know it is about to change, and I keep trying to tell everybody that, because we're like people sitting on a beach and there's a tsunami coming, and they don't know it. That's what's happening right now. And then some people are going to go, well, I'm going to fight this. I hate this change. I hate AI and all this. Okay, cool. But you're going to be like somebody that's using a horse and buggy compared to what's going to happen, because you can't stop it, because now we're evolving to a new level, and the outer is always going to reflect what's going on the inner. So if we are becoming more enlightened, and we're becoming more telepathic, and we're becoming more conscious, then it's going to look like there are things out there that's becoming more intelligent. And you know what I'm saying? We don't get that everything happening out there is a reflection of what's going on inside of us and our own consciousness. Some people are going to wake up and go, I'm going to work with this and see how I can use this for the benefit of all. And then some people are going to fight it, and they're going to be the ones who create a lot of terror and a lot of fear for themselves. But there'll always be people that want to come together physically like we're doing right now, you know, and there's always going to be a need for human contact and human connection. I don't care how the rest of the stuff is. There's going to always be a place for love and consciousness and caring and sharing. Those things are what's real. But we're about to see things, like I said, astrology is just another way the spirit communicates to us. It's not that the planets control anything that's going to happen to you. It's a way to get a message, just like the Course in Miracles is. It's just another way for the universe to try to make us hip to what's going on. But our culture and our society teaches us that if it's not logical, if it's not something we can perceive, it must not be true. And that's the stupidest way to live possible. Is to think that something isn't real unless you believe it and that you see it and that you understand it. If that was the truth, I never would have been able to take a jet to fly to Memphis, Tennessee last week to see my family. Because I don't know anything about aerodynamics and I don't know anything about how to fly a jet. So if my understanding was necessary for me to get on the jet, I'd still be in Memphis. And that's the same thing you got to recognize. Stop thinking that your understanding is a powerful contribution to the truth and makes it what it is. And ask your higher self, what do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to say? Who do you want me to say it to? And know that when your spirit is guiding you, the easiest way to tell would be what? You feel inspired. If you don't feel inspired, it's not your spiritual self guiding you. You know, it's a difference between doing what you should have, gotta, ought to do, and doing what you want to do. That's really important. Yes.
Can you repeat that? What do you want me to do?
Yeah. It's lesson 71 in the course.
Thank you.
It's what do you ask your higher self, what do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to say? And then who do you want me to say it to?
Thank you.
Right. It rather than telling yourself if this were different, I would be happy. The course says the most egotistical statement you can make that limits you is to tell yourself all day, if something and everybody else were different some kind of way, then you would be saved. You would be happy. If I wasn't in Denver, I'd be happy. If I wasn't in another circumstance, I'd be. If my mama changed, I'd be happy. If my daddy changed, if my partner changed, if the weather changed. If you say, anytime you say something like that, the course says you're guaranteed to end up in misery. Because if you make your happiness dependent on everybody acting out your script, you have set yourself up to never have joy. And I can see that. That's so obvious, and most people would agree, but then turn right around and then walk out of this door and be mad 5 minutes from now because somebody said or did something you didn't like. So we have to train ourselves. So that's why we have to be gentle with ourselves, because we've been programmed to change others. So just because I told you that, it doesn't mean you're still not going to be tempted to do it. It just means you need to start moving in that direction.
The lesson number again? Did you say?
It's lesson 71 in the workbook.
Oh, 71.
71.
I was on 72.
Yeah, it's called, the lesson is Only God's Plan for Salvation Will Work.
Thank you.
That's the name of it. Only, and that's the same as saying only love's plan for healing will work. God is just another word for love. Salvation is just another word for healing and right-mindedness and peace. The Course uses terms that we've already heard and learned to take us to the next level. So again, I got tons of classes on YouTube. Don't forget to go to my website. I got a lot of stuff there, and also sign up for my weekly newsletter. It will really let you know a lot about what's even going on from an astrological perspective as well as the course. So sign up for it. It's time to get deep. It's time to go deep and have fun doing it and have joy doing it, right? So you can self-book a session with me online if you go to my website. So we can do a one-on-one. There's a lot of stuff that you don't have to figure out. That's already been figured out, because you were the one that decided that you would get that information anyway. That's what's so deep about it. You know, this is a divine appointment. This isn't an accident that we showed up here today together at all. It was all part of the divine plan for us. And I just want to be around more people that want to love and get past the craziness. I'm not waiting for anybody else to change. I'm going to become a better, more loving person. That's where you know where Earl is coming from. And some people are going to run away from me and think I'm full of stuff, right? Thank you. Thank you, God, that you ran away from me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that I'm sincere. So if you don't trust me, the Course says, that just shows you're the one that's not trustworthy. That's why you can't imagine someone really having authenticity and integrity, because you don't have any, or you deceive. So you're going to assume I'm going to do the same thing you would do, right? So what's beautiful about the system is that people who are not best for you, if you don't try to cling to them, they separate on their own. They get away from you. And then what happens is that when you don't love yourself the way you should, you will try to cling to them and pull them back into your experience. But when you love yourself, you go, hey, that person isn't really seeing me and appreciating me. That's not a loss.
Yep.
So you would be just the opposite. You send them a thank you note.
Yep.
The cruel people are the ones who don't treat you right and don't like you and they stick around. That's the person that's the saddest, is they don't treat you right and they don't acknowledge you and love you, but they stay there. So light and joy, peace, and peace abide in you. Light and joy. So it's Earl Purdy at earlpurdy.com. Mighty companions, innocence and joy and peace abide in you. Your innocence, your sinlessness is guaranteed by God, by love, by your Creator, and may the Course be with you.